There is something extraordinary living inside your skull. A structure of approximately 86 billion neurons, firing in patterns so complex that science has yet to fully map them. It processes 11 million bits of information every single second. It has composed symphonies, engineered civilizations, and sent human beings beyond the atmosphere of this planet. And yet, it lies to you, every single day, not out of malice, not out of failure, but by design. The brain does not record reality. It reconstructs it. Every moment you believe you are seeing the world clearly, your mind is running a background operation, filling gaps, smoothing contradictions, selecting what matters and discarding what doesn't. What reaches your conscious awareness is not raw truth. It is an edited version, curated by a system whose first priority has never been accuracy. Its first priority has always been survival. This is where the beautiful deception begins. The psychologists call them cognitive distortions. But that clinical language understates what they actually are. These are not glitches. These are features. Mental shortcuts built over thousands of years of human evolution, designed to help your ancestors make fast decisions in dangerous environments. Catastrophizing kept them alert. Black and white thinking made tribal decisions faster. Emotional reasoning helped them read threat before logic could process it. The problem is not that these mechanisms exist. The problem is that the mind never received the memo that the environment changed. You are no longer navigating a predator-filled wilderness. But your brain is still running the same ancient software, now applied to your career, your relationships, your sense of self-worth. The weapon became the wound. And here's where it becomes dangerous in the most subtle way possible. The lies your mind tells you do not arrive labeled as lies. They arrive dressed in the language of reason. They sound like wisdom. They feel like clarity. I'm just being realistic. This is who I am. People like me don't do things like that. These are not observations. These are conclusions built from distorted data, repeated so many times they have calcified into identity. The mind does not say, I'm afraid. It says, this isn't for me. It does not say, I might fail. It says, this isn't the right time. The cage has no visible bars. That is precisely what makes it a masterpiece. You were handed a narrative early about what you are capable of, about what you deserve, about where your limits begin. And because the mind is a pattern recognition machine above all else, it has spent every year since then finding evidence to confirm that story and quietly ignoring everything that contradicts it. This is called confirmation bias. But lived from the inside, it feels like self-knowledge. The mind is not broken. It is doing exactly what it was built to do. Protect the version of you it has always known. The only question that remains, and it is perhaps the most important question a human being can ask, is this: who told the mind which version of you to protect? Most people never question the voice. They wake up with it. They carry it through every decision, every hesitation, every moment they almost tried and didn't. It comments on their appearance. It predicts their failures before they happen. It issues quiet verdicts on what they deserve, and they accept those verdicts the way you accept the weather, as something that simply is, as something beyond negotiation. But here is what they never told you in any classroom, in any conversation, in any chapter of the life you've lived so far. You are not the voice. You are the one hearing it. And that single distinction, fully understood, fully absorbed, is where everything changes. Awareness without action is just sophisticated suffering. Knowing the mind distorts reality does not automatically free you from that distortion. Understanding the cage does not unlock it. What breaks the pattern is something far less comfortable than insight. It is interruption. Deliberate, repeated, sometimes painful interruption. The moment you do the thing your mind declared impossible, apply for the position, start the conversation, begin before you feel ready, you don't just challenge a belief. You introduce evidence. And evidence, accumulated deliberately over time, is the only currency the mind genuinely respects. Not affirmations, not inspiration, evidence. This is not about becoming blindly optimistic. Blind optimism is simply the opposite lie. What this demands is something rarer and far more rigorous: mental precision. The discipline of examining a thought, not just for how it feels, but for whether it is actually, verifiably, demonstrably true. Ask the question your mind has been avoiding. Not, what if I fail? The mind has already written that entire screenplay and screened it privately 1,000 times. Ask instead, what if the story I've been telling myself was never about truth, but about familiarity? Because the mind does not cling to comfort, it clings to the known. And the known, no matter how limiting, no matter how suffocating, always feels safer than the uncertain territory of becoming something new. This is the mechanism behind every unlived life. Not dramatic failure, not lack of talent, just the quiet daily preference for a familiar lie over an unfamiliar truth. The people who break through are not the ones without fear. They are not the ones whose minds stopped lying to them. They are simply the ones who learned to move while the voice was still talking, who stopped waiting for internal permission that was never coming, who understood that clarity is not a prerequisite for action. It is often the result of it. The narrator did not go silent. They simply stopped letting it write the ending. You are not your patterns. You are not your past conclusions. You are not the sum of every limitation the mind carefully constructed to keep you contained and calling it caution. You are the awareness behind all of it, watching, choosing, capable of rewriting any story that no longer serves the person you are becoming. The mind is a beautiful liar, but you something the mind has never been able to fully account for. You are the one who can choose to know the difference. So here is the question I want to leave with you tonight, and I don't want you to answer it quickly, because it deserves more than a quick answer. What is one belief you hold about yourself that you have never once stopped to ask whether it was actually true or simply familiar? Sit with that. Write it down if you have to. Because somewhere inside that answer, beneath the comfort, beneath the certainty, beneath everything the mind dressed up as logic, there is a version of you still waiting to be told the truth.